Hey everyone, this is like my first video on this channel. My name's Mitch, by the way. MDCTV.tv, that's like, MDC's my initials. Anyway, so, I've been watching the news recently and I heard about the whole Demexit thing, like the exit of the Democratic Party. But there's this new, campaign going on called the hashtag walk away, as in just walk away from the Democratic Party. And, it's been long overdue, but I wanted to make my own video, and I think today's the I don't know, it just felt like the right timing. So let me just tell you a little bit about my story. I'll try not to digress too much, but so basically pre 2016, yeah, before 2016, like before that whole election, I was not politically aware or paid attention to the news or anything like that. I was very disinterested in politics. Like it didn't interest me at all. And then 26, like I remember Barack Obama winning. I wasn't quite old enough in 2008. I was still in high school at the time, wasn't yet 18. I probably would have voted for Obama. But like when 2008 happened, I was like, okay, we've had a first black president. It's about time, and I still feel that way, even though I have really, I have issues with Obama, but I can say that for almost every president that's been president since Kennedy, to be honest. But, so oh 08 was a big deal. And the first time I voted in 2012, I did vote in 2012, but it was just kind of like, I voted for Gary Johnson, Libertarian Party, just because, I just wanted to vote for an underdog sort of guy. I listened to some of the things Gary Johnson said. I looked up a little bit about the Libertarian Party. So I'm like, okay, I'll choose this guy. He obviously didn't end up winning. Barack Obama ended up winning. But, so I was a little involved in politics. But before 2016, that was like the extent. Like I voted once, rarely ever watched the news, rarely paid attention to anything on the political arena. And, but then 2016 happened. 2016, I was like just wrapping up my undergrad years at UCR, University of California in Riverside. It's a UC school. And that year, I made a friend named Dustin. I'm still friends with him today. And he really got me into the whole 2016 like presidential. Well, first there was the primary, and then the actual election happened. But and then he started telling me all about Bernie Sanders. I've heard of Bernie Sanders before, but then I was like, but then Dustin started telling me about him. And I started looking up all these videos about him, how he's been in politics for a long time, and he's been really fighting for people. So long story short, I ended up becoming a huge, devout Bernie supporter in 2016. And at that time, I was just learning about how the Democrats really didn't stand for anything, and then when the primary happened, and the 2016 Democratic primary was like the most intensely I ever watched or followed a presidential primary or a party primary. Never had I done that before. Never. Like every time there was a group of states voting, I would pull up, New York Times or Politico thing where it shows the states and it says how many votes are in, the percentage of the amount of votes that are in, which person's winning, which one's losing, that sort of thing. Like every time. And I saw what the Democrats did. I saw what they did in Arizona. I saw what they did in Nevada. I saw what they did in California, the state that I live in. Not just California, basically all the Western states. But I saw what they did to Bernie, and when that happened, I basically was like, okay, I saw who the Democrats really were, and this was even before I think this was before I knew like the history of the Democratic Party, like how they were historically in favor of slavery, they were historically in favor of institutionalized racism, Jim Crow laws, they were historically historically for eugenics, not as long as those other two, but for eugenics or dysgenics rather. And then they're also they started the Ku Klux Klan, and like when I first heard that, I was like, wow. And yet, like, the Republicans are, like, demonized as being the ones who are responsible when that's just not true, So I think this was a little before I started reading up on the actual history of the two parties in that respect. But, that was by the end of the primary. That was when I realized, the Democrats don't stand for anything. and they really did themselves a disservice. They did themselves a huge disservice by doing what they did. You know, having Hillary Clinton run the entire DNC because they were so bankrupt, and just giving her the election. You know, and supporting the weaker candidate over a candidate who would have, I still think today, would have beaten Trump in the general. I still think that. A lot of people still think that. I'm not a Bernie supporter anymore. I'll try to keep, you know, I gotta stop digressing so much. Anyway, so basically officially I was like, you know what, hashtag Demexit. I want nothing to do with them. You know, I was really hoping Bernie would start a progressive party or like just run independent. But you know, and then Trump ended up winning the general, and I laughed my ass off. I was like, dude, that's what you get. That's what you get. So anyway, after the election, you know, I started grad school. I go to USC for grad school, and recently, and by recently I mean like 3 months ago, something like that, I started watching a lot more conservative YouTube channels because I get most of my news off YouTube anyway, and I listen to a lot of people. And I started watching like Ben Shapiro was honestly the biggest catalyst, you know. Yeah, if any of you haven't watched Ben Shapiro's videos, he is a smart guy. Like you can say whatever you want about him. There's people talking, you know, saying some stupid stuff about him. He's a smart guy, okay? Like a lot smarter than most people. And so basically, and Louder with Crowder. I'm not the biggest fan of Steven Crowder, but I like some of his videos. And then, oh God, who else? Jesse Lee Peterson from what's it called? The Fallen State. Just, you know, like a bunch of other people. And I can't believe I can't think of more right now. But anyway, I basically became a conservative. I realized that I you know, and in a way I always kind of felt this way. But, you know, I basically was like, I became consciously aware of like, wow, I actually do believe in conservative values, you know, and I started, you know, just listening to a lot of conservative channels, and I basically converted. And then after that, about a month ago, maybe a little more than that, I became an open Trump supporter. You know, it was right around the time when the peace talks with North Korea were happening, and I was like the left has to because all they've been doing is lying about him, and just and here's another reason why I became a Trump supporter, because, you know, when that started happening, the whole North Korean peace talks, I was like, you know what, I never really gave Trump a chance, and so I was like, you know what, I'll give him a chance. I never really gave him a chance, you know, not really, so I'll give him a chance now. I went back and I started watching his speeches, like his full unedited speeches, like when he was running for president. And I didn't hear anything bad that he said, nothing racist, nothing sexist. I didn't have a problem with anything that he said. And then I started looking back at, like, because, you know, CNN has a channel on YouTube and they post all of their segments on there. I started rewatching their coverage. Not that I watch CNN a lot. I definitely don't watch CNN now, or MSNBC. But I started looking back at their segments on, like, covering his speeches. And it was the most unbelievable thing. Like, I knew the media lies, and they, like, you know, they put on this show. But, I mean, this was just, like, I don't think it's ever been this just outright, blatant, just don't give any F's about it, like, just do it. Like, literally, I would watch these segments, and because I had already seen the speeches at this point, and they would just take, like, tiny little snippets of what he said, and then they would, like, just completely out of context, absolutely, completely, totally out of context, and then they would just string these little tiny snippets together to make it look like he's this terrible, horrible human being, and then just lying. Like, just if you were to watch it, and like if you were to be in my consciousness and me watching the videos, like his unedited speeches, and then watch CNN's coverage of it, I mean, it's so obvious. It's so obvious, you know. And then when I saw the left try to spin it, like, oh, you know, he's regarding the North Korea peace talks thing, you know, people on the left were like, oh, he's legitimizing a dictator. I'm like, shut up. At that point, like, it really became, like, clear. Like, it was already pretty clear, but that's what really just solidified it. Like, All these people know is that they hate Trump. That's all they know. And their mentality is this: Trump can only do bad things. He can only ever do bad things. And even if he does something good, it's still bad because he's Donald Trump. You know, it's like, what the fucking goddamn God-given kind of logic is that? It's lunatic logic. That's what it is. You know, so I came out on Facebook. I probably shouldn't have done that, but, you know, I came out on Facebook about it. I came out of the closet. You know, I'm a Trump supporter, you know. And, you know, it wasn't as bad, but, you know, I got some backlash for it, naturally. Already been called a Nazi. Like, within the first week, I was already called a Nazi by someone on Facebook or whatever. 2 friends. Only 2 friends. Like, wow. Everyone else was fine, but 2 people, you know. Hey, I'll take 2 rather than more. But anyway, you know. So, look, if anyone who's liberal watching this, look, I used to be a liberal. I used to believe that the Democrats were equals the good guys, Republicans equals the bad guys. If you're a Democrat watching this, you know, take it from a former Democrat. You know, turn Trump supporter, you're probably not going to want to listen to me, but well, if you made it this far through the video, then I guess you're just going to keep listening anyway. So, you know, look, I'm telling you, if there is a party that Democrats who really, really think that the Democratic Party can be reformed, I'm telling you, it is a waste of time. It is a waste of time. They have a superdelegate system. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, former chairwoman, literally said in like a little tiny news segment that the whole reason the superdelegates exist is so establishment candidates don't have to deal with grassroots activists. You know, Republicans don't... You can say whatever you want about Republicans and the Republican Party. You know what you can't say about the Republican Party? They don't have superdelegates. They don't. That's a fact. The Democrats do, though. That's also a fact. You know, and on this side, you know, Republicans stand for capitalism. They stand for the free market. They stand for individual liberties. They stand for traditional family values. You know, Democrats don't stand for those things, not historically. You know, so my whole thing is like, look, guys, I'm telling you, if there is a party that can be reformed, it's the Republican Party. If you're a Democrat, I'm telling you, the party that can potentially be reformed is the party you probably least expected, or definitely least expected, you know? Or start a third party. I'd be fine with that too, but, you know, for like the past couple months now, I just, not only am I a conservative now, I am anti-left. Like, I just, that whole party should just be completely dismantled, replace it with the Libertarian Party or the Green Party. Or have a 3-party system where it's the Green Party, Libertarian Party, and the Republican Party. I'd be fine with that. But, you know, Democrats are the oldest party, like, still in existence. That's still a thing today. You know, like, the Whigs haven't been a thing since before the Civil War. You know, and you know, historically, they've always been on the wrong side of history. They try to get up there on CNN, and they try to, you know, they jump around and they're like, oh no, we've always been for these things. No, that's not true. That is not true. That is a lie. That is a lie. That is the biggest lie. As my childhood friend, I'm a film student, by the way. As my good friend Andrew Goldberg once famously said in Jurassic Park, that is one big pile of shit. That is one big pile of shit. So, you know, look, I'm sorry, if it's not obvious to Democrats out there, like if you're watching, if it's not so obvious to you right now that the Democrats stand for nothing, like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the evidence is there. It's in plain sight, you know, and they're trying to act like, no, yeah, well, you really don't. So, you know, this is my walk away video. This is my advice to Democrats. Just walk away. Walk away from the racists. Walk away from the, sexists too, honestly, I think. Just walk away from these people. They're evil. They don't stand for anything. All they do is get up there and say things you want to say, and, you know, they say something different in every city, and then, you know, oh, give us your votes, once we have your votes, it's like, okay, bye, you know, see you in 4 years. You know. again, not that there aren't bad, people on the Republican side, but I'm just talking about the parties in general. So, that's my advice, guys. Walk away. Hashtag walk away. Trump's going to win re-election. I don't know what to tell you. I would bet a lot of money he's going to win re-election. I'm going to vote for him. People like me are proof of that. I want to say he'll win the popular vote this time, but he's definitely going to get, I don't know if he's quite there yet, but he's definitely going to get more votes than he did last time. Definitely, in 2020. So, that's my video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Keep a lookout for the next video. Thanks for watching.